What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, The Real Ish. In this video right here, I'm going to be discussing 5 movies that I saw this year. 2 of the movies that I'm discussing came out this year. The other 2 came out a few years ago. Alright, so we're going to get right into the video. No further delay. Let's go. Alright, so I'm trying not to make this too long. I'm going to mention the movies that I saw, and then I'm going to talk about it just a little bit. You know, I didn't want to make a video, you know, one video for each movie. You know, that's a lot. So, alright, the first movie that I checked out is Speak No Evil from 2024. It says a dream holiday morphs into a horrific ordeal for an American family as their idyllic weekend at a British country estate spirals into a terrifying living nightmare. I think this was a pretty good movie. It kept me on my toes like the whole time. I don't have anything really bad to say about it. And I don't have anything bad to say about it. It kept my attention from start to finish. And a lot of people might have different opinions about it, but I really do think that it is a pretty good movie. I think the acting was great. The cast did a phenomenal job. And it's a type of movie where you don't really know what's going to happen. I like movies that make me think. I do like psychological thrillers, but I don't want to be too confused to where it doesn't make sense. You know, does that make sense? And when I go into these movies, a lot of times, like if it's a newer movie, I don't really know how it's going to be, but I really like it. And it says it's a Speak No Evil from 2022, but I'm not familiar with that, you know, so I just saw this one and checked it out. So if I could give, I'd say I'll give Speak No Evil 2024 a 10 out of 10. So yeah. Alright, so the next one that I'm gonna talk about is Vivarium 2019. Alright, so I haven't really even heard of this movie until I saw it on Tubi a while ago, like months ago, and I was thinking I want to watch it, try it out. Never did until the other day. I know it's 2019, it's late, but I finally watched it, and I have to tell you, I love this movie, Vivarium. The cast has Jesse Eisenberg. I recognize him from some movies from back in the day, you know, movies. It was awesome. I really do like it, and this movie has a lot of mixed reviews because I feel like, you know, people might not understand the interpretation. The description says, hoping to find the perfect place to live, a couple travels to a suburban neighborhood in which all the houses look identical, but when they try to leave this development, each road mysteriously takes them back to where they started. So, and it's like a horror sci-fi genre, they say, but it's really good because, like, I see somebody on Reddit, they're like, what is this movie? Like, they don't understand it. But the movie is basically about, it's like a metaphor for living life, how people get trapped in to living life, go to work, you know, the idyllic dream. What's the American dream? Get married, have children, have a job, buy a house, and live life and die. Not the dying part is not the dream, but that's the cycle that we as humans go into. So I feel like that's the movie was about. A lot of people who don't open their mind up to that type of stuff, those type of understandings in the movie, won't really understand it. So if you don't really, you know, some people say, what's the point of it? It says it explores the anxieties of modern life, particularly the pressures of settling down, starting a family, navigating the suburban existence. The film uses science fiction premise, a couple trapped in a seemingly endless identical housing development. And it's a little boy, so they tell them in the movie they couldn't get out of this like housing development, this neighborhood, and they're like greeted the person who shows them the house. He's a weirdo, you know, he's very strange, and they can't get out this, you know, they cannot, and no matter how many houses and backyards they cross to try to get out of this house, they cannot they end up back at this house. They're told to raise a child. The child is weird. He's like mimicking everything they're doing. He's screaming at the top of his lungs. The acting was great. The little boy did a great job at that. So it's like society is telling you to get married, raise a child, you know, have a family, settle down, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, you know, that's not for everybody, and that's what makes you think in this film. And I think the way that it was put together was just awesome. The cinematography, and it doesn't have a whole lot of scariness to it, but it was some really creepy moments in that movie, because honestly, you don't know what this child is. You don't know whether he's a human, an alien, a demon, a monster. Like, It just makes you think. So a lot of people got it, some people didn't. I would give Vivarium a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. The next movie I checked out was Smile. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. As an overwhelming terror begins taking over her life, Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. I immediately, when this movie came on, I noticed the guy from The Haunting in Connecticut. I went into Smile with a low expectation, not very low, but I just wasn't sure. You don't really know about these newer scary movies. They hype it all up and show you the whole movie in the trailer just to be let down when you actually see the film. But despite my, not knowing what to expect, I have to say Smile was way better than I thought it would be. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It had a lot of moments that kept me I wasn't scared, but it was really good. It's really creepy. The smile that they have, is really creepy. And then the fact of things are happening and you're not knowing whether it's real or not. I like that aspect too. It didn't confuse me. It made sense. It's a supernatural psychological horror film, and I liked it a lot. If I were to rate Smile, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I would give it a 9 out of 10. I have not seen Smile 2. I heard that is not that great to watch, so I'll probably just keep it at Smile. They don't know how to just stop at one great movie. One movie did really well making, and then you try to make another one. It didn't really need another movie, I don't think. And from what I heard, I'm not gonna watch it anyway. Alright, so this movie right here dropped. I kept seeing a preview for it. I don't really go to the movies and spend money unless it's something I really want to see, because when I do, I always end up wasting my money. So Violet is a widowed mother who goes to an upscale restaurant to meet Henry, her charming and handsome date. However, her pleasant evening soon turns into a living nightmare when she receives phone messages from a mysterious hooded figure who threatens to kill her young son and sister unless she kills Henry. Alright, so sounds like a decent movie, right? Wrong. It was not a decent movie. It wasn't even a good movie. It wasn't even an okay movie. It's not even a movie that I can turn on to just have play in the background. It's horrible. And it says thriller, but it's not a thriller. It's nothing. It takes place the same place, the whole movie. I don't mind a movie taking place in the same setting, the same place, the whole movie, they're in one spot, but it has to be something going on, and nothing was going on. You get these messages and make it all thrilly and spooky, but when you actually figure out what happens, why this is happening, it's just really dumb. It's all because another man that she met when she first got to the restaurant, it's an older gentleman, I don't know his name, he wants to kill her date because he has information, I don't know, politics or something, so he wanted to get at him, and so he's making her do it, and if she doesn't do it, she'll lose her son and sister. That's basically what the movie is about. And me even explaining it to you, it's still pretty dumb. I just don't like it. Somebody said on IMDb, it said, Drop is a thriller movie about a single mother getting threatened by a killer. To start off, the premise is pretty stupid but funny. The plot is very simple. Very simple. I wouldn't recommend seeing this movie, and it's so boring and bad that I'm not even going to waste any more time talking about it. It's just nothing. My rating for Drop is going to be about a 4 or 5 out of 10. And that's just me being generous. Alright, lastly is a movie titled The Woman in the Yard. It says Ramona becomes crippled by grief after her husband dies in a car accident, leaving her to care for her 2 children alone in a rural farmhouse. Her sadness soon turns to fear when a spectral woman in black appears on her front lawn, warning her today's the day. As the mysterious figure creeps closer and closer to the house, Ramona realizes she must protect her children from the evil woman who simply won't leave them alone. So, sounds like a pretty good movie, right? It says, it just wasn't good at all. It starts off okay, the acting's good and everything, it has promise, and I enjoy seeing people like me in scary movies. If you know what that means, you know what it means. So that's a plus also, but the story just lost me. And before I even watched it, I already knew what was going on. I knew that they were going to try to say that this woman was her or something to do with her. If you haven't seen the movie, this is a spoiler. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't make sense anyway. So the woman in the yard in the black she represents depression and things like that. So the mom didn't want to deal with this. She was unhappy. She didn't want to move to this farm. She wanted to stay in the city. To me, it seemed like she was unhappy with everything, the children, the husband. But then she's so upset that the husband passed away, so that don't really make sense. But I thought she wanted to get out. They show what happened in this accident, that the husband wasn't actually driving, it was her. You know, it had some good points to it. It wasn't scary. It had some good parts, but the ending, it just didn't make any sense. A lot of people are confused. I just watched this movie last night and people are just like, did this happen? Did this happen? Is she dead? Is the kids dead? Are they all alive? Like, it just wasn't a good movie and I wouldn't recommend anyone seeing it. The only reason I want somebody to see it is to let me know if it's as stupid as I think it is. Okay, so here's one more movie that I forgot about. I watched Talk to Me on Netflix. It was from 2022. It says, when a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits with an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill and high stakes party game until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. This movie, I went into this movie not really thinking it's gonna be that great. You know, sometimes you find good movies on Netflix, sometimes you don't. I kind of went into this like, okay, it's gonna be a group of friends, young, stupid teenagers. They're gonna do some stuff that makes me mad. No, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It had everything. It had the scary element. It told you what was going on, and it gave you a backstory of what, you know, the hand and the main character, her name was Mia. You know, she dealing with the loss of her mother. You know, and a lot of times I don't really like to watch movies or something like they're trying to conjure spirits and all that, but I wanted to watch it and it was pretty good. And after watching it, it was so good to me that after watching it, I felt like I couldn't watch it anymore. That's just how good it was. Like, and it make you think people would do stuff like that for real. Like, notice that something can get spirits or whatever and it just take over them. They like would do whatever and touch that hand and they would just become a whole nother person. And it's just, yeah, some people, they like it a lot and some people think it was overhyped. Some people say it's not a masterpiece, you know, but I liked it. I really think it was a really good movie, and I really don't have anything bad to say about Talk to Me, you know. That's just me being honest. If I thought it was a terrible movie, I would have said it. So I have to say Talk to Me is a 9 or a 10 for me as well. So those are the movies that I checked out this year. 6 movies that I said 5 initially, but I forgot one. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Have you seen these movies? Do you agree that they are pretty good or not? Yeah, I will only recommend watching See No Evil, Vivarium, Smile, and Talk to Me. Leave, Drop, and Woman in the Yard alone. The rest of them I would say check out. Alright, so make sure you guys like this video, comment if you've seen any of these movies and what you think and your thoughts. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I will be back with another video next week. Thank you for watching. God bless.